In a nutshell, Spot Us is trying to pioneer this idea of community-funded reporting, which is the act of distributing the cost of hiring a reporter across a lot of different people. So 50 people giving 20 bucks each is enough to hire a reporter to do an investigation locally. I mean, in some ways, in a more broader sense, we're trying to rethink the marketplace and see how you can get people to collaborate on investigations together. I
Catchphrase.
mean, in some sense, that's kind of true in that we're creating a marketplace. I mean, eBay, right, is like a marketplace. It's, you have buyers and sellers, and they meet and they switch things. Spot Us is similar to that in that reporters put up pitches, right? They put up their work, but they're not just selling it to one person. They actually need a group of people. So they're literally pitching the world. Recently, actually, I met with folks at the New York Times, and we're not calling it a collaboration, but they are not kicking Spot Us off the table. So we have the opportunity now to fundraise for a freelancer who needs travel expenses to do a story, and the New York Times is willing to consider running the piece when it's done if it's up to their standards. This is an example where, in truth, there was sort of already a relationship between the freelancer and the news organization in sort of a traditional sense. It was a one-to-one communication, right? The freelancer contacted the news organization said they're interested, but the problem is that the travel, again, is several $1,000s. And so the freelancer was looking for an option to try and raise that money, and that's where Spot Us came in. I mean, we've worked with news organizations where we have pitches up that are pitches from independent freelancers, and they come in and see them and sort of get involved with them then. Or we have pitches where really it's the news organization and a freelancer that they already know and trust and like, and they're just looking to find a way to raise more money so that the freelancer can do a more in-depth story. It is a little bit of a challenge of scalability, and it's something that is interesting to me too, because creating a pitch on Spot Us is actually relatively simple, right? You just
Mm-hmm.
register as a reporter, you click a button, start a story, and then you fill in some fields. And what's really interesting for me, and is really poses a challenge for me, something I need to internalize, is that there's also, I think, a mental leap. Because I talk to people and they love it, and they're like, yeah, I want to put up a pitch, I want to do it. But to actually get people to do it, for some reason, it takes longer than it should. It should just take, if you have the story idea, it should take 10 minutes, right? You're just clicking some buttons and typing in some words. But there's a mental leap there or something. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but for some reason, there are a lot of people that want to create pitches that don't end up doing it. And that's something that I have to figure out. The first advice, and this is actually what I tell people all the time, is just to go ahead and do it. I mean, after I won the Knight Grant and before the money actually came in, I put up a wiki. And the wiki, it cost $0. I mean, I had $10 to buy a URL, and then I put up a wiki, and then I used a third party to fundraise, right, to actually collect the money. Anybody can do this. Anybody can buy a URL. It can be a blog, right? You just put up blog posts explaining what it is that you're going to do and integrate like a PayPal widget, or I was using a site called The Point at the time,
Uh-huh.
thepoint.com. There's a couple other sites that will allow you to fundraise and just sort of start doing it. Spot Us is creating a platform so that independent reporters can do it quickly and easily. But with a little bit of elbow grease, anybody could do this anywhere. Starting in like you can get it up and running in like an hour and a half. So my question is for journalism, what are the types of stories that can be done in groups, in collaborations, and what are the types of stories that can be done, best by having one person who's sort of project lead? And I think we see examples of these a lot, but I'm looking for a kind of criteria. How do we describe the difference? What's the difference between those two types of stories, right? I've worked a lot in participatory journalism, and I still haven't been able to find the right way to describe why certain stories lend themselves to participatory journalism and others don't. because I think there are some that don't lend themselves to it. And for Spot Us, I think it's important is because, I think the future of journalism is going to be participatory journalism in one way, shape, or form. Spot Us is participatory, but we have a project lead on all the stories, right? There's a reporter at the top, and people are participating, but they're participating under the guise of one reporter who's sort of taking the lead, and the buck stops with them kind of thing. And I want to find the rubric for those stories. What are the stories that lend themselves best to a reporter that people will get behind? Because I think there are other stories where what you need is like a database, and you need a lot of people invited into the database to search through the content. And you might have one or two people behind the scenes who are leading the thing, but there is no single reporter who is leading the charge. And I want to figure out what the rubric is for when there's a reporter who needs to sort of be in the lead, and there's a group of people behind that person, or when you can just sort of open it up to the crowd and let everybody come in and participate. I'm not sure what the defining characteristic is, and I want to know so that in the future on Spot Us, I can say these are the types of pitches that we need, or the types of pitches that we want.